Hello, Cleveland, and welcome back to another edition of the Dogland Podcast. I am your host, Jackson McCurry. On today's episode, we are going to recap night one of the draft, obviously, what the Browns did, and talk about some of the other things that happened around the league, and also preview what's coming tonight on day two. We are recording this on Friday afternoon. Joining me once again on today's podcast is none other than Jack Duffin. Jack, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. What a day. Loved it. It was just so relaxing. It's nice having a really smart, intelligent GM. After the last one, that I could just sat there with my feet up. I knew we were going to make a smart pick. All these people talking Jamin Davis, saving Collins. I was like, nah, it's not happening. I didn't think it'd be as easy as, hey, let's take the number one player expected to be. Not even expected to still be on the board. I think if you'd have started asking them around sort of the 16 range who they take, I think it'd have been Greg Newsome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I cannot believe how it shook out for us because, we get within 10 picks and you're looking at the best available and you're thinking Browns are in a really good spot. And as they kept getting closer and closer, it was like, all right, let's see what the Colts and the Titans are going to do. Well, they took players that, we may have been interested in, but it didn't ruin our plan, essentially. And then we get to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh did what we thought what they were going to do. And then Jacksonville shocked people. But, I mean, at the end of the day, we were in a good spot. Obviously, the Browns, in case you're living under a rock, the Browns took Northwestern corner Greg Newsome II with the 26th pick. Didn't have to trade up for him, despite reports. He fell to us perfectly, and the Browns took him as a great pick. I don't think I didn't see too much complaining about this pick from the Browns fans. There was some that wanted JOK, some that, was hoping we draft a receiver or something. But at the end of the day, the Browns needed an outside corner and the best one available was there. The Browns took him, and he may have been higher on their board than compared to the other top corners that went off the board. But you cannot really complain about this pick because it fills a need, great talent, and he's going to fit perfectly in this scheme by Joe Woods.
No, the only complaint I heard about this pick was you telling me off after who was it picked? It was the Titans select Caleb Farley, and I said, this is awesome. Here's the next four picks. So 26, 25, 24, 23. And I had Morey going instead of running back to Jacksonville. But other than that, it was boom, 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 and it was plain sailing. I think if Browns fans need to thank one person, it's not Andrew Berry for his work on the draft night. It's whoever the Titans doctor is, because I did not see them going Caleb Farley. But to be fair, if he is 100% fit, that is going to be a great pick for them. I just didn't think. The risk just felt too high with everything that had been going on, all the noise around him. And it's one that it would take a couple of years to find out the answer, to be fair. It could have been off the Browns board. You just never know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing with Farley, obviously 2 back surgeries at 21. I think he's 21 or 22 years old. I forget his age exactly. But, and then also the ACL injury. And it's like, man, this is a huge risk. And there was talk that the Browns were looking to move up to get him. There was, the conversation that the Browns liked him. Farley's a great talent. I mean, a year ago this time, he was a projected top 10 pick, not taking anything away from what he does on the field. So the injuries were a risk. I could not see Andrew Berry and company taking a gamble on him, especially in the first round. Now, say he would have fell to 59 tonight and the Browns hadn't taken a corner at 26, I think they would have taken the gamble. They took it with Greedy a couple years ago. They took it with Delpit last year. They're willing to take a chance on a talent that has some red flags or some concerns if they think he's talented and they think he can come into here and produce. We haven't seen it with Delpit yet. We didn't see it with Greedy his rookie year, but there's still hope there. So with Farley, I mean, like you said, if Tennessee's doctors think that he's going to be good, and they obviously took Jeffrey Simmons a couple years ago with the ACL injury, we'll see how that shakes out. But with the Browns, Jack, them taking Newsome, obviously, this is a guy, great talent at Northwestern. He said he mirrored his game after Denzel Ward. There is concerns with him, especially with injuries. He only played 21 games over his 3 seasons. But the talent is there. You watch the tape, you read everything about him. I mean, this was a great pick. The Browns needed an outside corner, obviously, opposite Denzel Ward. I know we've talked about Greedy Williams this offseason. We're not banking on him to come back and be, what we thought he was going to be coming out of LSU, but the Browns have some added depth now. They added Troy Hill in free agency. They have Newsome now. Greedy, they can ease Greedy back. And now, but at the same time, there's a competition there between Newsome and Greedy Williams going into camp to see who cornerback 2 is going to be.
Yeah, and it's having several players with injury risk. Yeah, it's risky, but at the same time, if you end up with 3-4 of them, the chances are at least 2-3 at minimums healthy. It's unlikely that all of them go down. And as we see, there's players that have no injury history and get injured. It happens. It's just one of those, especially where it's a position where you're expected to play 100% of the snaps. It's not one you can set out. Obviously, start looking at the numbers and the data behind the Newsome pick. Relative athletic score, 9.66, so incredibly athletic. Age profile, week 1 of the season, 21.4. He's young. So it just ticks all the boxes. He was the only corner I had there in the first round. Not in the first round because Horn, etc. fit the profile, but they were never going to be there. Realistic pick. He was the only corner that was sort of mocked there. You've got people like Asante Samuel Jr., etc. But I just never felt they were worthy of the 26th pick. But it's one where you feel really, really good. And I'd say Barmore was probably the only other player on the board that has a chance to start week 1 if you drafted him. But then I'd say even Barmore wouldn't probably start ahead of Malik Jackson. So I would say, yeah, you're pretty much looking at, if you didn't get Newsome, whoever you drafted was not starting week 1. He's not saying he is a lock to start week 1. He has a realistic chance, though. Anything else would have been a massive... it require a big step up, whether it's a wide receiver wouldn't naturally go ahead of your 2 current wide receivers, a safety, could you beat Delpit out? Possibly. But yeah, Morig maybe was the only other one because, hey, there's a lot of hype around Delpit. He's never played a snap in the NFL.
Exactly. And you brought up the relative athletic score. You mentioned 9.66. He's got an elite speed grade, an elite or a great explosion grade, good agility grade, and good size grade. A 6'1" corner. I know ESPN has him listed at 6'1".
It's a flat 6.
Yeah, it's a flat 6. But I mean, it's all there. It checks all the boxes. And you brought up the age thing. Andrew Berry's press conference last night, he brought up the age guardrail twice without even being asked about it. So I think that is one of the pieces. And you brought this up when you made the analytics draft board. I think the age guardrail is something we are really going to have to start paying attention to. I think that is a big thing with Andrew Berry. He wants young guys, 20, 21 years old. He might make exceptions. He did last year with Jordan Elliott, but...
No, Jordan Elliott was still below...
Or was he still... Okay.
Jordan Elliott was 22.7 week 1 of the season, so he was by far the oldest in the group, but he is well below that threshold.
Yeah, so between 20 and 22 years old. So I think you're going to start noticing that. Like, they might make an exception if there's a talent maybe late round that they didn't think that they were going to get, and he might be 22 or 23 years old by the time the season starts. But we're starting to notice that trend that they want guys in their early 20s, really early 20s, that they can maximize out over those, and potentially as a first-round pick, maximize until they're 25, 26, even 27 years old. And then still leaves an outside chance that they give him a second contract.
I do get what you meant with Jordan Elliott. He was the only player who they've drafted who was 22 at the time of the draft. 100%, yeah. But then, yeah, we look through all the stuff that they're tall as well. I don't know if it's a thing to keep an eye on, but it's another player who's over 6 foot who got drafted. So I know it's not a whole team building philosophy because obviously they've signed Troy Hill, but it could be something they look for in the draft and they go, hey, we want our players to be 6 foot. Who knows? When we start drafting wide receivers, but even all the UDFAs, they were all 6 foot. So it's just something to keep an eye on. That I don't think it's a hard and fast rule because it wouldn't have made sense to then differ in free agency. But it could be. They could just go, hey, when you've got so much choice in the draft, we want players over 6 foot.
Let's talk about what went on around the AFC North last night, Jack. Let's start with the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, 5th pick. They took Jamar Chase. I don't.
Right move.
I don't disagree with this pick, but I have concerns. And here's my thing. I said, and talked about this with other people. I would have taken Sewell at pick 5. And looking at what the board is right now, you still could have got a dynamic playmaking wide receiver at pick. I think they're pick 38 tonight.
But there's loads of tackles left.
And there is loads of tackles left. They can get one early on tonight, and it sounds like there's going to be a run. But if you can get the elite tackle in Sewell or Slater, whoever they would have preferred, not knocking Jamar Chase because he's a talented player, but you could have still got a wide receiver. You could have got Terrence Marshall, who's just as good. Maybe not just as good, but just as talented and was productive at LSU like Jamar Chase. And it could have went either way. Like they could still get a tackle tonight and get a good one, but you have to invest in the franchise. And I've been saying this for a year as pertains to Joe Burrow.
If you had a franchise, who you most, let's say Jerry Rice, best wide receiver ever. Joe Thomas, best left tackle ever. If you added them both to an average team, which one improves the team more?
Depends on who the quarterback is.
Well, but it doesn't matter on who the quarterback is. If the quarterback's not good enough to throw to a wide receiver, then your team's absolute shot anyway.
It's a fair argument.
It requires so many moving pieces. Putting in even if he is Joe Thomas level left tackle, he's still going to get absolutely assaulted because putting in Penny Sewell does not improve the rest of the line. The rest of the line is still awful. It's not like it's a Laramie Tunzel. He was just an above average. He's not an elite left tackle. But the reason why he was so good for the Texans is because the rest of their O-line was it was just average. And then there was one horrendous left tackle. So they went, right, let's replace the left tackle. Boom, it works because it's the one missing piece. If they had a good, even as good to great left guard to right tackle, and they said, look, that's the one piece we need to fix, and then everything's great, I could see it. But for me, the board sat perfectly for them. They can easily get, whether it's Cosme, whether it's someone else, that's there. And if I want a player that we're sitting there going, he is the best in the NFL, I want that to be a wide receiver. I really don't care for the offensive line. As long as I can get average from 5 players, above average, amazing. I don't. It is what it is. Anything above that is just it's not a game changer. You're not like we're one step closer to the Super Bowl because we've got an elite left tackle. I don't see it, but I think it's a really, really smart move. I'm worried about their wide receiver rank. Luckily, we've invested heavily in corner, and with having a dime defense, you can sit there and you go, hey, it doesn't really matter. Higgins, you've got Tyler Boyd, you've now got Jamar Chase. That is a great wide receiver core. I'm excited to watch as an NFL fan. I'm not worried about their O-line at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Cincinnati obviously is loaded with skill positions. I did talk to someone today, and they think Cincinnati needs to go more interior because they have Jonah Williams, because they have Riley Reif. So maybe they go after a Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma, a Dickerson out of Alabama, maybe the kid from Wisconsin Whitewater that the Browns do like.
Get my guy, Walker Little, in the top of the 3rd round. That'd be a really smart move for the Bengals. I hope he falls to 89, but if not, Walker Little, that I'll be sitting there going, these Bengals could be the team that challenging the Browns in 2 years' time for the division.
It wouldn't shock me. And we know how good Joe Burrow is. Obviously, there's a reason why he's number 1 pick last year. Pittsburgh at 24. It wasn't a surprise. Even though I mocked Najee Harris going earlier, he didn't. He got to 24, and the Steelers did take him. And it was so funny. And I don't even know who this guy was. He was obviously in the Pittsburgh media, said that Najee Harris is already the second. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jack. He's already the 2nd best running back in the division.
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, Najee Harris is good, and I'm not taking away his talent because he was great at Alabama. Pittsburgh's offensive line was 31st in run blocking last year, and it got worse. Villanueva's gone. He's probably going to Baltimore. Pouncey retired. I mean, it's how can they justify that this is a good pick for them? And there was offensive linemen staring in their face.
If Najee Harris came out in the draft, which Nick Chubb did, would he have been a 3rd round pick?
Would he have been a 3rd round pick? Oh,
because I only think he's well liked because it is such a poor running back class. They're saying it's
And
probably
that's
the
fair.
worst running back class in the last 10 years at least. They're not athletic in any aspect. They're just not. I don't think they're good, and they have one of the worst O lines in the NFL. They have the record for running backs getting hit behind the line of scrimmage, getting hit at the line of scrimmage. It's insane numbers. How bad it is. If they really cared about their running game, you just draft an O lineman. It's not hard. Draft someone in the O line, and I know lots of fans that they love what Nick Chubb can do. It helps having the best running back, best O line in the NFL. In 2 years ago, it was the best interior O line in the NFL. These things really, really matter to the running game. It was just laughable. I was making money hand over fist over the pick. First running back to go. I had him to the Steelers at plus 175. It was just beautiful, and the fact that it's a divisional team just screwing up their entire future. Last 7 picks, I think, have been on the defense, and they changed to the offense to get a running back. I just feel sorry for the couple of analytics leaning Steelers fans I know, because that has got to be mightily depressing.
Yeah, without a doubt. And if they take Kyle Trask tonight, which has been the rumor, oh my God.
Can we get Mond to go first, though? Mond before.
Yes, Kellen Mond needs to go first. He's a better quarterback. Even Davis Mills is too. But the best news out of Pittsburgh yesterday was that they signed Mason Rudolph to a contract extension.
It's a sizable one as well.
It wasn't only one. It was 1 year, but they did give him some money.
It's 1 year, but it's got incentives in it.
Yeah.
I think they legitimately think he has a shot, which is crazy.
It really is. Baltimore. And I did not like this because 2 of my favorite players in the draft went to Baltimore. And this seems to be a trend because they'll either take some Buckeyes like they did last year when they took J.K. Dobbins, or this year they took Bateman and they took Jason Owa, the edge rusher out of Penn State. The knock on Owa was he didn't have any sacks at Penn State, but he's disruptive. He reminds me of Jadeveon Clowney without all the hype. And Bateman, they finally got a number 1 receiver. Like, that's good. We'll see if Lamar Jackson can get him the ball.
Just need a quarterback.
And also, Baltimore just picked up his 5th-year option. But I liked both of the picks by the Ravens.
If they had a quarterback, they'd be dangerous.
Listen, I like Lamar Jackson.
He's good, but if you're sitting there in a fantasy draft, and I know fantasy doesn't correlate to real NFL, I'm the one banging the drum for that normally, but I'm not touching Bateman ever. I would. There's no point in a draft where I would draft him because it's just not. It's not good for him and his future in the NFL. It wouldn't surprise me if we're sat here in 4 or 5 years' time. He is a free agent because he hasn't been extended, and he hasn't lived up to the hype. And that might not be his fault, because Mike Clay tweeted he's done his projection for him 64 targets this year, and I just tweeted him and said, "Is that a 95% market share in the Ravens offense?" Because there is such little amount of passing that it's not good for him. So I don't, and it's no knock on Bateman. I don't think the Bateman hype will get lived up to how people thought it would. This might end up on freezing cold takes or whatever it is, hot takes exposed in a couple of years' time. But I fear for the Bateman hype, and I don't think Browns fans will be disappointed as they are now, not because it's Bateman's fault, but I don't think it's the offense that best suited him.
Apologies to anybody if they hear the vacuum in the background because my mom is sweeping upstairs right now. So hopefully that's not too much of a disruption. You can't hear it. That's good.
I can't hear it.
That's good. All right. So, Jack, as we look towards tonight, the Browns have 59, 89, and 91, 3 picks. I get the sense, though, that I don't think they're making 3 picks tonight. I feel like they're going to move up into the 40s to get somebody because there is a load of talent still available at some key positions, obviously, edge, wide receiver, and even in the secondary again. Maybe they move up to get JOK. I don't know if that's likely because I feel like he'll go in the 30s, but there is still a lot of talent out there for the Browns to get. And I have the sense that Barry has someone in mind and he's going to move up into the 40s at least to go get him.
I just can't see it. I can't see it as a positive EV move, expected value. I think they're going to be averse to trading up. I don't think it fits their mentality and their look on roster building. It's certainly not going up into the top 10. The people talking about these players that are going to go in the first couple of picks, the Browns can go get one. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to give up a 59 and 89 to go up into that 30 sort of late 30s range, maybe. If they're going as far as 45 in that sort of area, that's as the furthest I could see them go up into the draft. So almost right the first 10 picks off. That's going to be pick 59 and pick about 100. So it's where that goes. Do we give up 91 and they give us back a 7th, or is it we give them 110 and 257 along with 59? So that's one just to keep an eye on for something that could happen. But it comes down to the question, who is it? For me, there's a few JOK, them likes, they're off the board. I'm looking at 3 dudes really here. Terrence Marshall, wide receiver, Rondale Moore, wide receiver, and Joseph Asai, edge. They're the only ones that fit my analytics that say they're in the 45. Obviously, there's some guys, Elijah Moore, JOK, that, I would happily have there. They'd be on my board, but I cannot see them there at 45 when I can see us making a move.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. Do you think they double dip at corner tonight? I mean, Lane Atkins did hint at it on Twitter. Asante Samuel still on the board. Ifatu Melifanu out of Syracuse is on the board. Kelvin Joseph, Tyson Campbell. Although I get the sense based on some tweets that Tyson Campbell might be the first pick by the Jaguars tonight. So that'll be interesting. Paulson Adebo from Stanford. I love
him at 89. I can't see them double dipping at 59.
Right.
But if they didn't have Greedy Williams, and I know in a lot of times we've been sat here in the offseason saying, they've got a plan as if they don't have Greedy Williams. I don't think they would draft another corner there. But at 89, 91, I think it's certainly in play corner. And Paulson Adebo is the guy I like there. 89, 91.
Yeah. Edge, you mentioned Osai. Azeez Ojulari is still out there from Georgia. There is concerns with his knee. I feel like he's going to go in the 30s, so I wouldn't even think he'll be there. Osai, if he's there in the mid 40s, I feel like the Browns could move up to get him, and he's liked within the Browns community. So, but wide receiver, I could see them moving up for a receiver, but at the same time, Nico Collins, Anthony Schwartz, Josh Palmer, these are guys that
Dynamic Brown,
I
really like.
Yeah, I mean, there's guys there that we can get maybe at 59, but I feel like 89, 91, and even tomorrow at 110, we might get the receiver at one of those picks instead. Obviously, I would love to get Terrence Marshall or Elijah Moore, but like you, I think Moore will come out the board early tonight. Marshall may as well, but if he falls into the 40s, I could see the Browns moving up for him.
Yeah, and one player that I've been talking a lot about an edge all off season of, hey, I really think they'll take an edge in the first 4 picks. I'm now at the position where I don't think they'll take an edge just because past Asai, I just don't have an edge that I really like. Doesn't fit my numbers. You've got Sample, but I think he could be there at 110. So I think wide receiver will happen in these next 3 picks. And then I would say if the next position I feel really confident, it's going to be safety. And the reason why is they want to play a 3 safety base and they have 3 safeties. Plus they've got Redwine, they've got Moffitt, they've got Elijah Benton. So they've only got 3 safeties. So Holland is someone that could be there at 59. Nazrul Dean could be there at 89, 91. They're the 2 that they fit the numbers for me. I don't think Maurice is going to fall. If he is, oh man,
if he does,
let's go crazy.
Oh god,
trade up to 45 for him. Let's do it.
That's my guy. If he starts to slip a little more, Andrew Berry, I won't beg, but go make the move, man. Go get him. And congrats to Andrew Berry and his wife Brittany on the birth of their baby yesterday. That was what a draft day treat. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it fits the guardrails. It was under 23 week 1 of the season.
Yes, absolutely. Jack, as we wrap things up, any takeaways from night one of the draft, and just like overall thoughts so far.
Just how fun it is. The Browns are in a really, really good position. It's genuinely really exciting. So no, I'm really looking forward to today. Everything still fit my numbers. I'm not saying it will. Today's going to be really interesting to see. Hey, are we going to continue to see this rolling? Are we going to see high relative athletic scores, low age? Potentially this weird just 6 foot thing that it's got to end at some point. But
no more little people on the Browns. They're all 6 foot tall.
Well, the whole UDFA class, the whole draft class last year, all 6 foot plus.
Rondale Moore is not getting drafted by the Browns tonight. Bold prediction.
It's one of them weird things that this could be something that they just look and go, look, if there's two guys we're between, we're taking the taller dude, and that could be their thing.
It could be.
They just go, look, that's our toss and a coin. We'll take height. But no, I would keep an eye on O-line. I don't think many people are genuinely expecting it. They have been really, really high on PFF's board. Walker Little, for me, if he's there at 89, 91, would probably be the first pick they would make at that 89 spot, just because he is so highly rated by PFF. And if we've seen anything, the dudes that are highly rated by PFF have a habit of going to the Browns.
Yes. And I wouldn't say like, oh, we really need to draft a lineman tonight, but it will not shock me if they draft an offensive lineman, especially on the interior. We know they like Quinn Mears from Wisconsin Whitewater. You mentioned Walker Little. There has been rumors and some signals out there that they do like some interior offensive linemen, and they may take one. So it'll be interesting. If you are listening to this Friday afternoon / early Friday evening, we're doing a live stream tonight, myself and Alex Hale on the other podcast I do, the Top Dogs podcast. We're going to have a bunch of the people from the Dogland, including Jack, Caitlin Marshall, Tim Torch is probably going to check in, Zach Strebler, Alex Sapelin, Anthony should be in there as well. We're also going to have Andy Lytle from Not the Same Old Browns, and we might have other guests in store. So check that out. It'll be on Twitter. We're streaming through Twitch, so keep an eye on the links for sure. You can follow Jack on Twitter at Jack Duffin, me at Jack McCurry08. Check out the dogland.com all weekend for draft coverage. We're doing instant reacts after each pick. Alex Hale will be posting his round 2 and 3 mock on Friday afternoon / evening. So check that out before tonight's festivities. And for those at the draft, enjoy it. It looked awesome Thursday night. The weather's starting to get better here. Saturday is going to be beautiful. So hopefully a big turnout. And hope you all enjoy the draft. We'll be back probably Saturday to recap day 2 and the beginnings of day 3. So keep it locked here on the Dogland podcast, as well as the dogland.com. And until next time, go Browns.
Go Browns.